Hey guys, how's it going? We're back with another gameplay commentary video, and yeah, so I feel like I have like a very cyclical nature in One Piece. A new set comes out, cool, new cards, shiny new cards, awesome, and then I start playing Law again because I think the deck is pretty darn good. So for this week, I'm going to showcase a couple games where I am playing Law versus other meta decks in a playtesting session that I had with a couple friends. Now, I'm going to be testing out the list that, once again, is playing the starter deck Nami as opposed to the Searcher Nami. And I'm testing out the Dagura, Gordon Ramsay, as we like to call him. So I'm going to be going first versus Whitebeard. I want to take first away from them so that I can start hitting them as soon as physically possible. I believe I won the die roll here. So I start off with starter deck Nami, which is a great start, which is going to allow me to go ahead and apply some pressure. So my opponent goes ahead and plays a Mass Deuce. And yeah, that isn't great for us, but it really is what it is, you know. Mass Deuce is still a heck of a card. So it goes back to my turn, and I really want to decide how I want to go ahead and proceed from here. I don't have a Vista that immediately answers this Mass Deuce, so not a great spot to be in, but I'm going to go ahead and play a Chopper, trigger Nami's effect to go ahead and put one under my leader, and I'm going to go ahead and swing at Whitebeard for 8. It's important to note that it's in this matchup, it seems less relevant to go ahead and do the Shambles Law mechanic as opposed to develop characters that are threats while equivalently applying pressure to my opponent. Now my opponent's going to go ahead and use the Deucer, and the Deucer's going to go ahead and attack me for 5, and his ability is going to go ahead and trigger because he has Dawn times 2. He's going to go ahead and pop my Nami. Then I think he wants to go ahead and decide how he wants to attack me. If he attacks me for 6, I do believe that we can counter it. If he attacks me for the classic 7, we're going to be in a bad spot. He's going to go ahead and trigger the Whitebeard Pirates card, which searches a couple cards off the top of the deck. And it's really interesting that my opponent is playing a singular copy of Fire Fist in his deck just to spicing up this matchup. Fortunately enough, he didn't see it there. Going to go ahead and add a Jozu to his hand, place a Dawn under his leader, and attack me for 7. And yes, 7 is big. I get double Dagura off of life there, so I do get to really set up for this following turn. And I think this is what showcases just exactly how good Dagura is. And I'm deciding, it's going to be a bit, right, how I decide to play off this turn because there's a lot to consider here. And I didn't immediately see this play. I have a couple people, again, when we're play testing, I have a couple people with me and we're all trying to figure out the better play. I didn't immediately see this one. So it's going to take me a second, and we're all talking about exactly how to go here. I'm saying, oh, we can do this, and they're saying, well, you can do that. And then, so since I have double Dagura, I think we were, wondering, can you Dagura the Dagura? And specifically enough, Dagura has a condition where it can do that, because that would be maybe a little too ridiculous, where you can turn one Dawn into 3 characters. I'm going to play one Dagura out. I'm going to play a secondary Dagura out. I'm going to use both of their effects. So they're going to go ahead and rest themselves, and I'm going to go ahead and summon 2 red 1-drops from my hand, which so happen to be double Makino. And this is starting to get really, really aggressive, guys. Sorry for the glare. It just seems like the location that we're at just has a lot of potential glare. We're going to go ahead and Shambles, and we're going to go ahead and summon a Zoro. Now Zoro's going to go ahead and 5 at the Deuce. And you can't really afford to take it here because I still can just apply a ton of pressure here. I can put 1 Dawn under the leader, hit for 6. And then, funnily enough, I can use double Makino and have Chopper hit for 7. So, this is the exact spot you want to be in as Law. You just want to be the aggressor. I'm going to go ahead and hit for 6 here. And then, again, remember, I've been hitting him for 8. I'm applying a ton of pressure, making sure that before he even gets to the 9-drop turn, he can't play the 9-drop. I'm going to go ahead and now use double Makino to pump up the Choppy. And this is a play that you don't see very often, but it is a play that can exist in your matchups. Going to go ahead and attack for 7. Now I have a very few amount of cards in my hand, but once again, there really isn't much that the Whitebeard player can do in this scenario. He goes ahead and defends there with a 2K. That Jozu that he went ahead and searched. Sorry for the camera angle. It seems like the camera got shifted between games. But certainly this is a pretty fine spot to be in as the Law player, right? Even though your entire board is tapped, which is not something you usually want to do, there are no threats on your opponent's side of the board, right? So if he's going to go ahead and remove a character, he's going to use his leader as removal, which is really fine with us. And secondly, he's going to have to summon something that is a piece of removal, aka a 5-drop Marco as well. So if he drops a 5-drop Marco here and swings at his leader, sure, that's not a terrible turn for him, but it doesn't really advance his game state, and I can just go back into having a really solid following turn. I have a Curly D in my hand, which is going to go ahead and let us cycle. I do have a 6k stat line on the board, and as well as a Zoro. So what I want to do here more than anything is keep that Zoro alive so that I can use it as a pressuring target, right? So just how there's people helping me, you know, or maybe not helping, but we're all deciding plays on the left-hand side, there are also equivalently people on the right-hand side deciding plays as well, right? So they're trying to figure out what is the best course of action. He's going to start off with playing an Otama. Otama's going to go ahead and minus 2k on the Law, right? Making sure that the Law doesn't free block us here. He's going to go a Newgate at my Chopper, and honestly, I can't really defend that reasonably, and he's going to go Marco at the Machino. Now, so yeah, so we're talking about exactly how that could have been done, right? Differently, there is a universe where he goes Machino, target the Zoro, and then he swings Whitebeard at the Chopper. I block though, and then he goes Marco on the Zoro, right? Which is another play he was talking about. But then the player that is playing the Whitebeard is stating that if I do keep the Chopper alive, it is the same case scenario as if he were to keep the the Otama in hand, because the Chopper would again become an attacking stat line, and he would just get free chump block, and I would keep board presence. But he does then in that scenario remove the Zoro, so it really is a give and take on what is better at this point in time. There are very few cards in my opponent's hand comparatively for a regular Whitebeard player, just because of the pressure we've been able to apply. So I think at the end of the day, they decide that, you know what, it's fine, we'll just keep with this play line and see how it proceeds from there. And they pass it over to our turn. So they definitely lock this play in. So when this play is locked in, we start our turn. We're now at 7 Dawn, which, just imagine, at 5 Dawn, we were able to go and apply, do so many crazy things, mostly sponsored by Dagura, so he didn't tap his Dawn. He's going to go ahead and end step, go ahead and add a life off of Edward Newgate's ability. I'm going to go to 7 Dawn here, restand my board, and draw a card. Obviously, this version really revolves around Curly D and Nami, and Jewelry Bonnie as our searching targets. So I am able to go ahead and play a Curly D. Curly D is going to go ahead and bottom deck a Bonnie, which is never great, but it is what it is. Summon the Nami, use Nami effect, hit for 6. And I'm trying to think exactly how much damage, because honestly, my hand really isn't doing much more than that. I'm going to go ahead and go 6 here, and everything's just going to have to turn sideways, and I'm just going to have to apply as much pressure as possible. 6, and then I do want to go ahead and get a Shamble in. Yeah, sure, we'll hit him for 7. It's irrelevant. So he defends the 2, and then I'm arguing because of the fact that, so my opponent gave me a 2k on the 6 attack with the leader, right? And then if I swing for 7, he's just going to give me another 2k, so there's no point in going above. But it's irrelevant because we're going to tap out anyway. So we're going to go ahead and shamble up our Machino, attach our Dawn, re-hit with the Zoro for 7. And it's the same if Zoro hits for 6 or if Law hits for 7. It's the same. If that Dawn goes where it goes, it's kind of irrelevant. It's literally the same math. So I'll hit him for another 6, which he'll opt to take. And then I'll hit him for 7, which he'll opt to take. And the reason... there is a universe where we don't even hit with the Law there, right? Because he is right now going to 8 Dawn, and he was going to take that life no matter what, because he's not able to Whitebeard. So I could have kept the Law up, and that's something that I have to focus on doing better in this matchup, right? If you are able to be as aggressive as humanly possible and put them to 1 life before they can 9-drop you, you don't really have to commit any further attacks, because that life is going to go up to their hand anyway. So this is actually a nice little mistake that I was able to catch here. That Law didn't need to attack, which is pretty solid, which would give us 2 6Ks in an unrested position that my opponent can't really remove. And if he isn't able to remove them, I am able just to find lethal on the following turn. The best card that my opponent can have here is Ace. Ace would be exceptionally terrible for us, but I mean, it really is what it is. So I think they're arguing about using counter, not using counter at this point in time. But it really is what it is. He has legitimately one play, which is just summon the Ace, right? And Ace is going to go ahead and start removing characters off the board, as Ace usually does. So with 8 Dawn, that would only keep him with 1 Dawn up, which is just a Rad Beam that we have to go ahead and play around. But just having that 6k body on the board is good enough. We also have the Machino in hand, which is something that we have to remember for our opponent's sake, right? Because if we do have that Machino, we can go ahead and use that as another pressuring target. So he might not be thinking that the Nami can swing, but the Nami can swing, and that's something I'm talking about. I'm going to be going 6, right? 6 with the leader, 6 with Nami, and then 13 with the Law. That's what he's going to have to defend next turn. A 6, 6, 13. And I do believe he has about 5 cards in his hand in order to do so. Oh no, a bit more. His hand's pretty big. So we're going to have to go ahead and do this over the course of a couple turns. And that still might get dicey. Even though we've gone in and become this aggressor, it's going to get a little bit difficult to go ahead and do. So he's going to go ahead and swing 6 at my lead. I'm going to go ahead and take this 6 because there's no way he can threaten lethal. He's going to go 6 here. I'm going to go ahead and give him an Otama. Because even though Otama is a great card, Otamaing Marcos doesn't feel great unless it's the Blogger Marco. But Otamaing the 5-drop Marco, just being able to revive, doesn't feel exactly great. Now he's a 6k, and then we're back to the same scenario that we were before, that we can't really attack his board. He's going to go ahead and summon Jozu and try to swing for game. And yeah, the Jozu wouldn't have been able to get there, obviously, because of the fact that we do have a blocker. We still have 1 life. But he noted that he wasn't able to defend the turn that was coming his way. A lot of his cards were bricks, so he opted to go for this play. As always, guys, if you like this sort of content, leave a like, comment down in the comment section, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.